Okay, so we're at the point of the NBA cycle where not much is really happening. The summer league is over, the playoffs is over. There's really not much content happening outside of the fact that each and every year, every summer, we're going to get the workout videos, the summer workout videos. And those videos are one of the best PRs you can put out if you're a player. No matter who you are, you could be Norman Powell, Paolo Banchero, or you could be all-time great like Kevin Durant. You put out those videos and people are going to forget any season that you had before and say, this guy might be the best in his position. This guy, he's the next one up. This guy, this and that. And it happens like clockwork every time. Before it was Ben Simmons where, Ben Simmons making a comeback every single season. Ben Simmons is going to be able to shoot the three every single season because he kept putting out these summer workout videos. And, for a lot of people, they kind of took the bait. And to be honest, every single year we continue to take the bait with every other player. But one thing really came to my mind because the last couple of weeks we've been seeing like a lot of these videos, but one particular video that has stuck with me was the video with Kevin Durant working on his game. And one of the things that you'll see each and every time whenever he's working on his game, he works on the same moves. And we have to give our respect that Kevin Durant is one of the greatest shooters of all time, one of the greatest shot makers of all time. And he will always be able to find himself a bucket. And that's just the type of player that he is. And, he's worked on his game so much that even after, the fact that his physicality and the fact that his speed has greatly diminished since his Achilles injury, he's still been able to put up the most consistent buckets you could ever see. However, I was seeing a lot of people say that Kevin Durant is better than LeBron James. Now, I don't know how many people sincerely believe that, but I was seeing that a lot on Twitter. It was like his game is the greatest offensive game of all time, when statistically LeBron James has had a better offensive package. When you're just looking at the numbers itself, you're not looking at exactly how he gets it, but in terms of the percentages wise, also due to the fact that he's played like 5 million games, half of the games in NBA history, he's been able to consistently become like one of the top scorers. I think he has like the top like field goal percentage or something like that of like NBA history, way better than many other people would consider LeBron James to be, since he's not necessarily the flashy finesse guy. He's more so, head down going to the paint, but he also developed himself a mid-range game and also a three-point game as well. But people consistently said that Kevin Durant might be the greatest pound-for-pound basketball player they've ever seen. And I'm just like, I'm sitting there, I'm just like, wow, the summer workout videos, they do their job every single year because honestly, without that, this point of the year would be extremely boring. There's really not much to talk about. The draft is over, summer league is over, and, there's really not much really to talk about. Now it's just the summer workout videos, and I'm glad that we have that a part of our NBA culture, but it just routinely builds up the most asinine beliefs that you could always just scrounge up for whoever your favorite player is. And for Kevin Durant, I think one of the biggest misnomers about his career is the fact that, yes, he is really good at scoring the ball, but he's not necessarily the best when it becomes the first option. He's always been the greatest. I would say he's probably one of the greatest second options you could probably have because he's not necessarily a guy that can play make. He's a guy where if you can give him the ball in space, if you can give him the ball with enough time, he's going to be able to get you a bucket. But as we've seen in multiple of his teams where he has to kind of like, play the number one role, which it doesn't really happen too many times, he's not necessarily that guy. When he was with Oklahoma City Thunder, it was Russell Westbrook leading the charge and then having KD being able to take advantage of the mismatches. When he went to Golden State, it was Clay, it was Stephen Curry, mostly Stephen Curry than Clay. But Stephen Curry being the primary option with Draymond Green being able to facilitate the ball, which allowed Kevin Durant to play exactly how he wanted to play, which is more free. And then when you went to the Brooklyn Nets, it was Kyrie Irving, but mainly it was James Harden being the number one option, or at least the person that would run the offense to facilitate Kevin Durant being the second option and having him score the points that he needs to be, even though the fact that they didn't really play that many games together, but held close enough. Or even when he went to the Phoenix Suns, Chris Paul the 1 year, but mainly, Devin Booker being the person that kind of facilitates and runs the offense and allowing Kevin Durant to be that second option. He has consistently, throughout all of his career, been the second option. Now, the weird part is that on this Houston Rockets team, he was supposed to be the second option again with Fred VanVleet running the point. But because Fred VanVleet got injured, he didn't really run the point, and they shifted that over to the Thompson twin. And it kind of worked to a certain degree, but as many people, as many Houston fans can see, that didn't really work because nobody really could shoot. You know, you have Tari Eason, Jabari Smith; those were probably like your best shooters, but at best they were inconsistent. And so you had to rely on what I called phone booth basketball, where every bucket has to come with tight space. They utilized when Steven Adams was around and not hurt. They utilized his leverage because they knew that they were going to miss a lot, but they needed to get the rebounds. So they rather had like two bigs with Sengun and Steven Adams on the court together so that they can shore up a lot of those rebounds and get those points again. And then because their defense is so well and everybody has the length and the defensive capability to stay in front of their man, they were able to win games based off of that type of dominance. But not necessarily because Kevin Durant is a number one choice or the primary playmaker. And why am I bringing this up? Because when you think about the greatest player, greatest offensive player of all time, it's not just necessarily you being able to make shots or the type of shots you're able to make, but it's also the fact that you can get a lot of your teammates involved and raise the floor for them. And one of the biggest issues with Kevin Durant's game, all the way from college where he was in Texas, from OKC all the way to now, is the fact that he cannot pass the ball. He is one of the worst passers for the person who has the amount of skill that he has. One of the worst passers I've ever seen. Not necessarily because, like, you know, he's just always turning the ball over, but he can't pass out of double teams consistently. He always misses the first read, the first window, the first option, and maybe he can get you on the second window, but if he misses you on the first window, the second window is almost always not there. And so he always misses his teammates. He always is not able to pass out of that double team, especially from a guy who gets double teamed consistently, especially at his height, too. When you think about it, he should be able to pass out that double team, get his teammates involved, and create easy buckets. But for some reason, he has it. And for a weird little thing that he does is that even though he has the length, right, that he has, you know, he's like almost 7 feet tall, crazy wingspan, he loves throwing passes like bounce passes, not necessarily passes above the head, because it's weird. You have that length. The one of the biggest things about having the length that he has is that he can kind of see over defenders and get passes through, and where most people can't really get passes. But if you're throwing a lot of bounce passes, well, then you're just putting it back in harm's way where everybody else is at. And so he, for some reason, does that so many times. Like if you look at his highlights, a lot of his highlights where he's turning the ball over comes from the fact that he's throwing a lot of bounce passes or a lot of passes that are very low instead of keeping it high and being able to hit his man in stride, whether it be on the chest or on the face or anything the case might be. That has always been an issue with his game. And for some reason, you know, I see these summer workout videos all the time by Kevin Durant. And you listen, he is a savant, one of the greatest basketball players of all time. When it's said and done, he might be top 15, top 20, however you fit him. But he has never been able to be the playmaker that, let's say, his contemporaries were, like LeBron James. He just simply has not. And it's so weird because he has seen all the coverages. He has seen all the looks. But to not be able to pass the ball consistently and not be able to, you know, not get those turnovers is always a bit concerning. And it's really just not even acceptable, especially for a person with his level of skill. Because when you look, let's say, a person who has high usage like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and how Shai has the ball all the time, very similar to how James Harden had the ball all the time. He has the ball all the time. But one of the great things about him is that he can be able to have the ball all the time, but not get a lot of turnovers. As a matter of fact, one of the few instances where he struggled with that was against San Antonio Spurs, where he had a little bit more turnovers. But consistently throughout the season, throughout the playoffs, he's the type of guy that even though he has the ball a lot, he's going to keep the ball on their side of the court and maintain the possession. One of the few things that many people tend to not understand and not get is that the reason why a lot of, let's say, like superstar teams or just teams in general become the greats that they are is the fact that even their superstars become really good at certain roles on their team. A superstar has to be able to be great at specific roles that even role players have to do. So, for example, Nikola Jokic, he's really good at passing the ball, being able to keep the possession, not have many turnovers, and still get rebounds. That is a role player's perspective that you need to do. LeBron James, same thing, being able to drive, kick, get rebounds, pass it to wide open teammates, get open teammates involved. Kevin Durant, his skill set is very specific. is very specific. He is a guy that you're not going to mainly get the ball from him. He's not going to create openings for you. He's a guy surely that's going to say, listen, I'm going to throw the ball up, and 9 times out of 10 is going to go in. And 9 times out of 10, it will go in. But the problem is while everybody's like, waiting around or standing to watch what Kevin Durant is going to do, every basketball player and every hooper knows this. The longer you are without the ball, the harder it is for you to make your next shot. And so, Kevin Durant, as great as he is, he has to have things facilitated for him and not the other way around. And so I think the more apropos for a guy of his stature is to say that he's not necessarily the greatest first option of all time, but he might be the greatest second option of all time. And we have deluded ourselves into believing that because he's so great at scoring the ball, that he should be put in conversations, in my opinion, that he doesn't belong in. And that conversation really is LeBron James. And I've seen it all on Twitter. You guys probably seen it too. But that conversation is a non-starter because LeBron James, as well as he is good at scoring, is great at facilitating and raising the floor of all his players. And Kevin Durant simply has not shown that he's able to do that at once in his career.